Hello and welcome to another edition of the Power Principles with me, Dax Moy. Today I'm going to be taking you through yet another one of our exercise systems, the dumbbell matrix. Now, like all of our exercise systems, the dumbbell matrix is a three-dimensional system that uses all 600 muscles of the body. We're going to be taking every single joint through flexion and extension, through internal rotation and external rotation, and through adduction and abduction. So by actually taking the body through every single one of these patterns, we get a much better muscular balance, we get much better stability, strength and mobility factors. So we actually manage to affect every muscle, every joint in every direction. This means that loads and loads of calories are going to get burnt, which is great if you're looking to lose body fat. But it also means that you're going to build a much better functional strength into your body, which is very important too. Without further ado, I'm going to call in my beautiful assistant, Kevin. Okay, what we're going to do, I'm going to teach you this pattern without dumbbells. Okay, I'm just going to teach you using your body. Now, you might be using a pair of dumbbells at home. You might be using a couple of baked bean cans or a couple of water bottles, a couple of bottles filled with water. Whatever you're using is absolutely fine. But you must ensure that first off, you can hold it for the whole exercise, and second, it's comfortable. You're not going to drop it. You're not going to cause yourself any sorts of problems by holding on to this. So, big pots and pans and things might not be the way to go about this. Right, quite simply, the first of the patterns begin with an upper body, what we call an upper body matrix. Your knees are going to be bent, your bums squeezed slightly, your palms are facing back toward you, like this. From here, your arms are going to go up in a seesaw fashion. One goes up, one pulls down slightly, and alternating the pattern. So let's go through that pattern first. We're going to have 6 repetitions on each side. Now what this is primarily working is the shoulder complex and the triceps, but it also working your core stabilizers and pretty much every muscle through both the upper body and through the hips and pelvis. Okay, once we've done 6 repetitions, we're going to turn the palms forward into this pattern here, and from here you're going to press out into half of the letter Y, up at about 45 degrees, back down and staying on the other side. So let's get 6 repetitions off each side there, Kevin. Okay, again, the abdominal muscles are staying tight, the spine's not waving all around the place, okay, I'm not reaching out as I'm taking the arms out, everything remains still. Now when you've got a pair of dumbbells or some weights, it's going to become a little bit tougher, okay, so your core's going to have to stabilise more. Okay, once we've done the 6 repetitions on this side, we're now going to take the body through what we call the transverse plane. So we're still hitting the shoulders, we're still hitting the triceps, but we're going to actually rotate the body. The way we rotate the body is quite simple. As I'm going to take my hand up, I'm going to take it up 45 degrees across here, punching for the ceiling, pivoting on the back foot. Okay, so we come up here, I'm going to look up the line of my hand, back to shoulder position, and in this direction. Okay, you'll notice, if we get Kevin doing it, you'll notice that as Kevin's turning, his core remains quite stiff. Okay, he's not arching his back. Kevin, show me a couple of bad ones where you arch your back. He's not arching through to get the extra leverage. Come back to good technique. Okay, spine is in neutral alignment, and he's going to carry out 6 repetitions in each direction. Nice and easy, nice and comfortable. Okay, once you've completed your 6, you're going to switch into your arm flexion exercises. Okay, palms are going to be facing forward. The first thing you're going to do is take your hand back behind the line of your body here. Okay, so imagine you've got your dumbbell in your hand, your arm starts behind the line of your body. You're going to come from here, hand sweeping through here, you're going to try and touch your fingertips to your shoulder and allow your elbow to sneak forward. So if you're used to bicep training, if you're used to training in the gym, you've been told to keep this still and just move at the elbow. Okay, we're not doing that here for several reasons. First off, we're trying to incorporate more muscular action. Remember that 600 rule I told you about. So we're trying to incorporate more muscle. And secondly, this isn't really how the body works. You don't grab for a glass of milk off the side like this, and then do this, and then do this, okay? You actually marry lots of joint motions together. So we're going to use the body functionally. So while Kevin's showing you it from the front, I'm going to show you it from the side at the same time. So Kevin, let's go. So you're coming through that motion. The elbow raises, point your elbow at the wall in front of you, and back down. Reach back behind you. Come up again. Good. Kevin's going to be, obviously you're alternating arms here. So you've got one arm coming up, one arm going down. Okay, because you've got motion on both sides of your body, your core stabilizer again are having to work hard to stop you from tipping over in that direction while you reach across. Okay, so we're not doing this. We're not shuffling our position. It's still very strict through the core and through the waist and through the bum. Your bum stays squeezed on the whole time. Nothing else is moving apart from the arm and shoulder girdle. Once you've done 6 repetitions off each arm, you're going to turn your palms in to face your thighs. Okay? From this position, we're going to do an alternating row pattern. Okay? By that, what I mean is you're going to take your elbow toward the ceiling. So from here, elbow comes up, reach high. Your elbow is higher than your wrist. Okay? So when you've got your dumbbells in your hand, the tendency for a lot of people is to do something like this. Okay? We're not doing that. The elbow is actually the thing that leads the exercise. Elbow comes to the ceiling and back down. Right, at this stage we're going to be very strict about it. Okay? The spine shouldn't be moving. Later on, as we advance through the program, I'm going to teach you to rotate through the spine as well, so we get even more muscle involved. But at this stage, chest is up, shoulders back, bum is squeezed. From here, elbows for the ceiling, really reach. Touch the ceiling at the top here, touch the ceiling at the top here. Okay, let's go. 6 each side. Again, as you can see, Kevin's remaining pretty static here. His abdominals are nice and tight. His bum is squeezed. There's no extraneous motions here. Okay, he's not waving all around the place. What he's doing is purely focusing on the areas that he's trying to work. Okay, the next part of the elbow flexion pattern is going to be a good old-fashioned boxing uppercut. If you think back to how boxers throw their uppercuts, okay, their hands are here, they rotate, and they punch. Okay, imagine here, I'm turn sideways into me for a second, Kevin. Imagine this being boxing. Bang! I'm trying to connect underneath Kevin's chin. Stand face back on again. It's not too dissimilar. You start from square on. Your hands are in neutral here. You rotate, and as you rotate, the arm comes through. It's just like doing a punch. Boom! This is your finish point. Arm horizontal to the ground. Okay, it's not down here. It's not way up here at this stage. Later on, we're going to get higher, but for now, arm's going to come horizontal to the ground. So we're here, bang, here, bang. Okay, so Kevin, if you could give me 6 each side. Good. And again, the core is remaining tight, looking slightly up above your own height, and this will keep the chest nice and high and keep the spine extended. And again, he's quite simply pivoting on the spot. Okay, he's not transferring his weight all over the place. His pelvis isn't shifting this way. It's simply turning around an axis. Okay, so imagine this is where Kevin is standing at the moment. His spine is actually, in effect, just doing this, rotating back and forward. He's not transitioning across. Once you've done 6 on each side, we're going to go into a lower body pattern. Okay, this is going to be the lunging pattern. For a lot of people, this is actually the hardest pattern. There's a fair bit for you to take on here. So, first off, you're going to start with your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. Okay, toes pointing forward, and we're going to step forward, a fairly long step with the lead leg. Toes are pointing straight ahead. From here, take the rear knee down to about 1 inch off of the floor. So we dip nice and slowly, chest remains high, and drive back up. Okay, now if you feel okay with that, you can drive back up and push back into the start position and alternate the legs. Okay? If you feel that the alternating pattern is a bit difficult for you at the moment, you can do all 6 repetitions on one leg, and then swap and do all 6 repetitions on the other leg. So if you see that from sideways on, okay, I'm in this position, I'm going to take a nice long step forward. From here, my chest remains nice and high. I dip the back knee to 1 inch off the floor. It's not actually touching, I'm not resting and stopping. It's 1 inch off, and I drive back up. If I'm a bit more advanced and I want to come back and do the alternating pattern, I drive back up, lifting my toes off the floor first, driving through the heel, back to the start position, and alternate legs. Okay, the choice is yours at the moment. Ideally, I prefer you doing a transition version where you step in and step out of each pattern, but a lot of people find that very difficult in the early stages, so just build up to it. And again, you're doing 6 repetitions each side. Once you've done those 6, you're going to do your lateral lunge, which Kevin's going to demonstrate for you. Nice wide stance, chest up, toes pointed out to about 45 degrees, and it's important that your knee tracks straight over that toe, okay? You're not twisting your knee inward while your feet are out there, or vice versa. Okay, from here, maintaining a nice tall upright position, simply put your weight out into that leg, and back up. I think what we'll do is we'll go just a little, actually can I just demo for a second, Kevin? I'll just jump in for a sec. Don't be scared to really open the legs quite wide. Okay, you can turn both feet out. Now there's two ways to do this. You can have the left foot forward and just simply turn the right foot out and do all 6 in one direction. Okay, that's absolutely fine if you want to do that. A lot of people find that these muscles here, the adductors, get particularly fatigued when you spend 6 repetitions just in that one motion. So what a lot of people like to do is alternate from one side to the next. Okay, so we sit nice and deep into one side, come up, sit nice and deep into the other. Okay, now don't worry about how deep I'm getting here. Okay, that's not relevant to you. If you can't get this deep, that's absolutely fine. You might find you can only get here. Over the course of this program, you will start to get deeper. So don't get caught up thinking, oh, he's getting all the way down there, I should be down there. That's not the aim of the game. The aim of the game is for you to use your own personal full range of motion throughout the exercise. Okay, so if we have a look at Kevin as he does 6, a nice wide stance, Kevin. Good. Head up and chest up. Remember, this is always tight. Nice deep lunge into one side. 2, we're going to get 6 repetitions. Good, and 6 repetitions into the other leg. So again, turn that foot out, but keep the pelvis facing forward. So the foot's turned out, but the pelvis is forward. Okay. The next part of the lunging pattern is starting from a very similar position. The feet are wide, and they're turned out slightly. What you're going to do is quite simply pivot on the spot off the ball of the back foot. Pivot, dip the knee to 1 inch off the floor, come up, rotate all the way through 180 degrees to the other side. Okay, so we've got 6 repetitions going on through each side. It's a nice, smooth, controlled action. If you find that you can't do it comfortably, then come up, pause the center for a second. Rotate to the other side, come up, pause the centre for a second, rotate to the other side. Ideally, what we're looking for is this nice, smooth transition through the middle. Okay, that keeps the tension on the quadriceps, the hamstrings, and the gluteal muscles. So all of these areas are going to get lots and lots of work. Okay, so that's your lunging pattern complete. Okay, so we've got forwards, we've got sideways, and we've got rotations. The next thing we're going to do is move down to the floor and look at a core routine. Okay, so the next part of the dumbbell matrix is the core routine. Core routine is obviously, in this instance, going to take place down on the floor, so you might want to get a mat or a towel. The core routine has 3 components, just like the upper body routines. So you've got flexion, you've got rotation, and you've got lateral motions. Okay, so all of these are going to be carried into your core routine. There's a couple of things for you to bear in mind when you go through this. If you've got a sore back, you've got previous back injury, or any predisposition toward kind of doing yourself a mischief around this area, then you need to be careful with these exercises. That's not to say that any of them in themselves are dangerous. Okay, there's no such thing as a dangerous exercise in itself, but your body may not be prepared for it at this stage. So, as with everything that I teach, just make sure that you listen to your body. If you start going through a motion that causes you any form of pain whatsoever, don't visit that range. So that the number 1 rule is that you work through pain-free ranges of motion. Do not ever push yourself into a painful arc. Okay? The first exercise then is a curl up, okay, or a curl and full sit up. You start from this position with your hands behind your head. Your tongue is going to be pushed behind your teeth, or your front teeth, the upper row of teeth, just behind the roof of your mouth here, and your hands supporting your head. From here, push your low back down into the floor. This will immediately switch on your abdominal muscles. You'll feel them contract already. You're going to roll up through into the first part of an abdominal curl. Okay? This is defined by as high as you can come without your low back coming off the floor. So for me, it's about this position. It's not very high, as you can see. I'm going to pause for 2 seconds. 1, 2, before sitting all the way up, rolling through. And I'm curling. You can see this looks like a bad sit-up in effect, but it's not, okay? I'm curling into the top position. Once I get here, I sit up into a nice tall spine, elbows come back, okay? So reverse the pattern, I'm going to take my elbows forward, roll down, one vertebrae at a time, back down to the floor, and back to my start position. So here we see it again. I roll up, 1, 2, roll up into a full abdominal curl, and sit up, raise up through the chest, elbows pulled back. So reverse the pattern, imagine one vertebrae at a time, rolling back down to the floor. Now, what if you can't do a full sit-up? What if you look like a lot of people like this? Okay, quite simply don't do it. Okay, you're going to come up into your abdominal curl position, pause here for 2 or 3 seconds, and then lower back down. Okay, the more often you do that, the stronger you're going to get through your abdominal region, and once you become stronger through the abdominal region, the second part of the sit-up will be possible. Do give the second part of the sit-up an attempt, but don't get into any of this nonsense. When you're trying to get up, you've got to do yourself an injury. Come up, pause, work towards the sit-up, and then come back down again. But don't cause yourself any pain. So that's core motion number 1. Core motion number 2 is what we call a lying Russian twist. Okay, the Russian twist is quite a simple exercise. You're going to start laying flat on your back with your arms out to your sides like so. Take both feet up toward the ceiling with your legs straight and keeping your shoulders down on the floor. You're going to take the outside of your thigh down toward the floor. Okay, so you'll notice that from this position, my legs are on the floor and my shoulders still on the floor. From here, to get back to the start, I'm going to use this muscle here. I'm not pulling through my legs. I'm using this muscle here, breathing out as I return to the centre before going over to the other side. Now, if you find that your core muscles aren't strong enough to do that, and many of you watching this will find that's the case, quite simply all you have to do is bend your knees. Okay? If you bend your knees, you reduce the leverage on your waist and make it an easier exercise. Okay? So you're going to come from here instead, knees bent, over, pause, up, pause, over, pause. Now it's important, you only travel as far as you can whilst maintaining the shoulder on the floor. So that if you find, as your legs come over, there's a tendency for them to lift, then stop. If you can't counter that motion, don't go through it. Okay? So that's your second pattern. Again, it looks quite easy. It's quite simple to do in many respects, but it's not easy. Okay? You will find the next day you're going to feel quite tender through these oblique muscles around the sides of your waist. The final pattern is what many people call a yoga plow. Here we quite simply call it a leg over. We like to keep things simple within my company. This is a leg over because quite simply you're going to take your legs over. Lay flat on your back, arms down at the sides of your body. From here, with legs straight ideally, you're going to lift up, take your feet over, and try and touch the floor behind you. Now, if you've got cervical problems, what I mean by that is through your neck, you find a lot of tension builds up through here. It might not be the best place for you to visit, but only you know that. Okay? If you've been advised not to go through extreme neck flexion, then don't go back there. What you can do instead is either this, knees bent, and bring your knees into your chest as if you're carrying out the same motion. Okay? Or you can carry out the same motion, but just as far as you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable there and you want to pause before coming back, then come back down. As the legs lower toward the floor, you only lower them as far as you can whilst maintaining low back control, okay, or low back contact, sorry. Okay, if your back arch is off the floor, then you need to stop leg lowering, because that would be a really bad backache. Okay, so you come down, 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 down. I'm still in contact, I'm still in contact, I'm still in contact. I'm fine with this exercise. Okay, if you come down and your back now starts to arch, then stop, change direction, and come back up again. So you may well find that you only move throughout about half the range of that potential motion, and that's absolutely fine. There's no such thing as a perfect exercise, there's no such thing as a perfect range of motion. Okay? You yourself have to determine the correct range of motion for your body type. Okay? So work within it and work with it so that you've got range of motion that feels comfortable for you. If you do that, and if you carry out the dumbbell matrix or this 3D movement matrix as regularly as we're advising you, you're going to find you get some great results very quickly. But as with everything I teach, the most important things for you are that you've got movement mastery, i.e. you're working to the best of your ability in each of the exercises. We're not going for the burn, we're going for the technique. Okay, so you're not going to failure with anything here, you're going to what we call technical failure. At the moment you feel you no longer control the exercise, you stop, reset, take a breather, and then continue. Okay, so there's no extra grounding points from really pushing yourself hard with these motions. That's not going to get you anywhere except injured. Okay, carry out the 3D dumbbell matrix as regularly as the program's suggesting, and you're going to get great results. Keep up the good work.